planner friends, I need to set up a new month in my notebook planner. So I thought I would bring you guys along and show you how you can make a simple planner inside a notebook. I use the bullet journal system, but I'll just walk you through how I set up my month, generally how I have my planner set up, so that if you wanted to try a system like this, you could as well. I'm going to do a little art journaling in this video as well, so we'll set this stuff aside so that I can come back to that later. So the first thing I'll do is write in some page numbers. It helps me to organize my notebook planner and to easily find my pages later. The notebook that I'm using is a $2 notebook from Daiso. It's a passport size and the pages are not pre-numbered. So I just number out a few pages ahead when I'm planning to add something new to my planner. Like right now, I'm going to put in a new month, so I need to number the pages for that. So I do have a couple of tips for you if you're planning on using a notebook as a planner like this. Tip number one would be to number your pages. Like I just said, you'll see a little bit later in this video that I put an index at the front of my book, which lets me reference where within the book I can find a certain layout, like the month that I'm looking for, or maybe notes that I took on a certain topic. Another tip that I have is that if you're considering starting a bullet journal specifically, you might want to start with a smaller notebook. Sometimes looking at a really large blank page and trying to figure out how you're going to fill that space or how you're going to lay things out, it can be a little bit overwhelming, and it's pretty amazing what you're able to do with just a little tiny notebook. This may come down to personal preference. I've mentioned on this channel before that I really prefer smaller notebooks, but I would recommend that you maybe give it a try. My next tip, and you'll see that I'm doing that here, is to consider different ways of setting up your monthly view. We kind of have in our head that just a typical standard calendar is the best way to set up a month, but really there are a lot of different options. You can look around the web for that. I'll share some ideas here in future videos, but currently the way I'm doing my month is the way that the original bullet journal method recommends. It's just a pure list view. So right now I'm writing in the days of the month, and then I'll go in and write the days of the week that correspond with those dates right next to it. So you don't necessarily have to plan out an elaborate spread or measure columns, measure rows, figure out how to fit in a typical calendar in this tiny little notebook. Just think about different ways that you could make a monthly view work for you. Here I'm marking out a couple columns on the side of my monthly view so that I can do a bit of habit tracking there. And that would be my next tip. If you are going to do any habit tracking, consider just tracking a couple of things to start. You don't necessarily need to do a fully separate spread for that. Find a way to incorporate it into your month. And then if you find that you really do enjoy habit tracking, at some future point, you can maybe make a more elaborate spread on its own dedicated page. Okay, so now that I have my month set up, I'll go to my index, which is at the beginning of my notebook, the very first page in my notebook, and I'll write down September and the page number that spread is located on so that I can quickly find my calendar later. The next spread that I put in when I'm setting up a new month is a revolving task list. It's a list of daily house cleaning tasks that I do every single day. And rather than writing down those tasks every day on my daily pages, I just write it out for the whole month. So I'll write the tasks on the left-hand side of the page, which is what I'm doing right now. And then across the top, I'll write the days of the month. 1 through 15 fit in the upper part of this notebook page, and then the rest of the days will go in the lower part of the notebook page. I'll speed up the creation of this spread and then give you a good view of it at the end so you can see what this layout looks like. So this would be another tip. If you have any kind of repeating tasks that you're doing daily or very regularly, you can create an entire spread for that. Make it its own spread instead of having to rewrite those tasks all the time. So here's that spread for September, and then here's my calendar for September, and I have 2 more pages that I'm going to add in here, and I'll explain those right now. Because my month is a list view, Occasionally, there's not enough space on a particular day to write all the things I need to write for that day. If I have multiple appointments or multiple things going on a certain date, I might need a little bit more space. So this first page I'm adding in is an overflow page for that purpose. And then on the right-hand side, I will do a brain dump page for this month. So it says September brain dump. And this is where I would just put all the things that come to mind of things that I might need to do, want to do in the future, and I can organize those, look through my brain dump, and put those on the appropriate dates as I'm going through the month. To keep track of those pages where I can find them, I do what is known in the bullet journal community as threading pages. I'll put a little note on the bottom of my calendar for the page number where I can find that overflow page, and a little arrow that references look to page 26. In the instance that I do need more space, what I'll do is I'll put a little plus sign on that date's line, and that lets me know, come look at page 26 to find more information for that date. So that's it for my monthly pages, and you'll notice that my planning pages are very, very minimal. They're very streamlined. I like to keep them really simple. And then what I do is I just pepper in decorative pages here and there as I feel like it. Instead of having that pressure of making every page be so decorative and elaborate, I prefer to just keep some of my pages super simple and then add in some decorative pages here and there. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I just recently finished a video game called The Last Campfire. If you're into cozy video games, I would definitely recommend you check it out. But I want to include a little bit of a journaling page here where I can jot down my thoughts about that game, which are all good. It was so enjoyable. I really loved this video game. So I'm going to do a really simple collage to document that. And then it also just adds a little bit of decor into my planner / mini journal here. So here's a look at how that came out. I actually ended up moving the top bit that opens as a flap here later on. I decided that I liked it better on the other page, but I left this other page blank so that I can go in later and document my thoughts about that video game. I'm going to give a quick run through of my bullet journal so far so that you can get an idea of how I set it up. My very first page is a goals page, and then I have a future log so that if I don't have a month laid out yet, I can write events that are coming up there. I have a key which notes the symbols that I use in my daily pages. There's my August setup, so if you want to see how that fits in. Another decorative page here. And on the left-hand side here, this is how I do my daily lists. They're just lists of tasks that I need to do and events, and that's where the key comes in. I hope this video has given you a good idea of how you could set up your own notebook planner, and I hope I will see you guys in the next one.